Alright. So we were multiplying fractions, but really we were factoring and canceling, right? Well, today we're going to do pretty much the same thing, except we're going to divide fractions. So divided by so that's what we have. And hopefully you remember when you divide fractions, what do you do? When you divide fractions, what do you do? You flip the second number and put a times. So in the math, if you use the math words, you multiply by the reciprocal of the second. So you leave the first thing alone, and instead of divide, you multiply by the reciprocal. You flip it. So the only new part is, instead of divide, you multiply, and you flip the second thing. You've done that before, I'm sure, right? So now you just do it like we did the other day. You cancel. I have an X on top and an X on bottom. I can cancel those. What else could I do? What else could I do? 2 and 4. I can divide those both by 2. Divide by 2, divide by 2. 2 goes in there one time. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Anything else? Can I do anything with these y's? No. Why not? Because they're both on the bottom. In order to cancel, it has to be something on top with something on bottom. So all I have left on top is a 2, and on bottom a y and another y. Y times y is y squared. So it looks like I get 2 over y squared. Does that make sense? So just like we did the other day, basically the same thing, right? How about this one? Well, when you divide fractions, you leave the first thing alone. So I'm not going to do anything with this one. And instead of divide, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. I'm going to flip it. Can I cancel those x squareds? Just go like this. No, because it's minus. You can only cancel if it's times, right? So as it is, nothing really cancels. What do you have to do? Right, good, yes, you have to factor. Is there anything in common with these three terms? No. So then we have to see if we can factor it like this. For the x squared, that has to be x times x. It's a 10. 1 and 10, 2 and 5. They have to subtract to 3. So what combination subtracts to 3? 2 and 5. It's a negative. This times this ends up being a negative. That means I'm going to have one of each. Remember, look to the middle. The big one gets what's in the middle, right? Down here, anything in common with these two? Yes, you can take out a 2, right? Factor of 2. So what's left here? 1x. 2 times what is 6? Over here, anything in common? No. So if there's nothing in common, then you try to do the 2 parentheses, right? What times what is x squared? Thankfully, that's not too bad. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4 will all give us a 12. I need the combination that will subtract to 1. What combination subtracts to 1? 3 and 4. 3 and 4. Multiply 3 times 4 and end up with a negative. That means 1 of each. What gets what? It's a negative. The big one's negative. The little one's positive. Anything in common with these? No. So then we have to try to factor like this. X times x. 1 and 4, 2 and 2. There's no middle term. That means they have to subtract to 0 if there's no middle term. 2 and 2. Dose. It's negative. 1 of each. Doesn't matter. They're both the same. Doesn't matter. They're both the same. Are we okay so far? So here's what I really have. I have x minus 2, x plus 5 over 2x plus 3 times, I like to get rid of all that junk, x plus 3, x minus 4, x plus 2, x minus 2. That's what I have. So now what? Now it's the best part where you can cancel a top and a bottom. Here's an x plus 3, the whole thing. Anything else? X minus 2. This one. Anything else? I don't think so. So I think that I would just leave it like this. X plus 5, x minus 4 left on top, and on bottom, don't forget about that 2 over there. I have a 2 and an x plus 2. That's what I have. So it looks like right there. So basically, it's just like what we were doing last week. The only additional step is multiply and take the reciprocal. And then it's just like what we did last week. See what you can factor, and then once you have it factored, you can cancel those factors, right? But it's got to be times. It's this thing times this whole thing. We have to be able to cross out that whole factor. That's why you can't cancel those, because they're not factors, they're minus. Right? Does that make sense? Do you want to see any more, or do you think you have it since it's like last week's? Raise your hand if you want to see more. Raise your hand if you think you have it. Raise your hand if you want to go home. Bless you. All right, so you think you have it? I'll be in my office. I'll leave the door open. If you have questions, let's see if I can get the page number right today. Would that be 256? I think that's 256. 256. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's enough. How about 21 to 20? There we go.